what my blood pressure was at home, I would have left her at a disadvantage to even be able to manage and treat me well. Right. So don't blame it on the doctor when you're not doing your part. It's called participation. You know,
right? You got to do your part. And I tell my patients, we're partners. This is not a dictatorship. I'm not the kind of doctor that you come in and I go, oh, you got to do this. And if you don't do it just like I say, I'm not gonna be your doctor anymore. I always ask patients, what are your goals? What do you want to look like 10 or 20 years ago? And how can I help get you there in an environment that's comfortable for you? Well, the first thing most patients say now is they don't want medication. You know, they hate the medicines because they hear the side effects on television. Right. Stroke by Friday, heart attack by Saturday, cancer on Sunday. Yeah. So they don't want to take a whole lot of medicine. But guess what? A lot of times you don't have to take a lot of medicine. You can do, like she alluded to earlier, you can do some of the lifestyle changes. Like change your life. This old doctor taught me one time, Dr. Sapton, he was so wise. He practiced medicine, Veola, till he was about 100 years old. And he taught me, he said, you know, in this class, in medical school, he said, you doctors sitting up here thinking y'all real important. And I'm going, yes. What's wrong with that? Being a little vain, which God don't want you to be. He said, but y'all just a spickle of a person's health care. And I'm going, oh my goodness, and I've incurred all these student loans and everything else, and I'm just a little speckle of their health. He said 99.9% of everybody's health is what they do when they leave your office. He said, now you can tell them don't smoke. And that happened to me. I had a patient I told don't smoke. How come I'm peeping out the window and see her light the cigarette in the parking lot? I ran myself out of there as fast as I could. I bammed on the window. She tried to put the cigarette out. Oh, Dr. Walker, where did you come from? I said, I saw you. I saw you in the picture. And they can leave that, then they can leave and go buy some ice cream and chocolate cake and brownie. He says what they do. He said, you giving them the right advice, but it's up to them when they leave your office to follow it.
That's why I always say your health matters.
Absolutely.
Your health matters, but it has to be matter to you. It matters to us.
Right. Absolutely. I want all my patients to do well. I tell my patients in a minute, I said, let me tell you something. Do not wind up in somebody's emergency room in bad shape and tell them I'm your doctor. Don't you do that. I said, do not give me a bad name. I said, I want my patients, if you turn up in the ER, it should be something unexpected, like you stomp your knee or hit your toe. But don't go in there in bad shape and, my doctor's name, Dr. Valerie Walker. Oh, my God. So let's just do some prevention and try to take care of ourselves. Be aware. Read your numbers. Know your numbers, like you said. And record them. Go get a little dollar book from Dollar General and just record all your numbers and keep up with them. And if you see them getting a little crazy, then give your doctor a call and tell them my numbers are creeping up just a little bit, and what can I do to keep those numbers down, which is what we're going to talk about, because now you know what high blood pressure is. The force against those arteries is real hard. We know it can be silent, that it may not get no symptoms, so don't wait till you have a headache. By the time they get a headache and dizzy, they're in bad shape. You probably on your way to the emergency room. By then, the blood pressure is really high.
Let's talk about that. When to go to the emergency room. And we'll just use the American Heart Association's standards. They if the blood pressure, now let me say this first, because Dr. Walker did make a good point. If your blood pressure is creeping up, I'm going to give you some numbers, but it can be less than these numbers. If your blood pressure is normally 110 and now it's running 150s and 160s, that's an issue for you.
That's high for you.
Okay. So if it's 120s and now you're running 40s and 50s, that's a change for you. Now, the American Heart Association recommends that if your blood pressure is 180 over 100, they recommend you call your doctor and have a conversation. That's an area of concern. Something is not quite right with that, okay? But if your blood pressure is 180 over 100 and you're having severe headaches, severe anxiety, severe shortness of breath, or nosebleeds, then you need to be calling 911 seeking immediate medical attention, because you could be having a heart attack, a stroke, hypertensive crisis. Okay, that's what they call that. And Dr. Walker, she gonna laugh at me, because one time my blood pressure was way up there. I called 911 on myself. All right, because I already know you can't be like you said, your heart is the only organ that works 24/7. You do not want it to stop. I didn't want mine to stop. So I called 911. I wasn't having any other symptoms. Nothing. but of course my blood pressure was elevated, my heart rate was elevated because they kind of go together.
Absolutely.
And so, but who I called Dr. Walker, she was out of town. But it didn't matter. I called 911. But my point is, the outcome was good. It was just it was related to a medication, so not heart disease. But my great doctor here allowed me to get the stress test, echocardiogram, everything, just to make sure that nothing was going on with my heart, and it wasn't. And I'm so grateful that she took it, because you took the time to even allow that to happen, because some doctors just pass it off and like, oh well,
you were stressed
out or whatever. No, let's check things out and make sure that everything is fine with you. And so she's an excellent doctor. I mean, that's why I love her. But I did have to call. But you want to make sure, because regardless, this is the thing I want to just make sure that everybody understands. Regardless, because people tell me all the time, well, my blood pressure is always high like this, or whatever. Regardless of what causes your blood pressure to be elevated like that, it can still do the same damage.
Absolutely.
To your kidneys, your eyes, other organs. Your kidneys and your eyes got these little bitty blood vessels, and it doesn't take much pressure to damage those. Okay. Now we're talking about going blind. We're talking about dialysis because your blood pressure was up.
And the number one reason why, believe it or not, that people on dialysis, when you see these units being built on your corner all over the country, two things: high blood pressure and diabetes. If you look at the end of the charts, it was a quiz one time this doctor gave us. And he said, I want you to spend a day in medical school. You'll hear a lot about our training and all, in a dialysis unit. And at the end of the day, I got some questions for you. I'm going, oh my, I really don't want to spend the whole day in the dialysis unit. But I took my little pad. He said, I want you to go through everybody's chart in the dialysis unit and just tell me what you see. And this is a teaching hospital, so we allowed to do that because we were students. And I looked through the chart and and on each one of them charts, I saw two diagnoses: high blood pressure and diabetes. I saw them on each one, and that was the answer. That's what he was looking for. He said, so, okay, and they started calling you doctor early in med school, even when you're still a student, just to get your mind all geared. And he said, okay, doctor, what did you notice about each chart that they had in common? I said, diabetes and high blood pressure and a lot of other heart disease and all that. But the biggest I saw was diabetes and high blood pressure. So it's very important to get those things under control. And we're going to come back to you on a later show, and we're going to donate that whole time to just diabetes. But for today, we were just trying to give you some points on high blood pressure, so we can spill that right into. So what are some of... Go ahead.
You go ahead. What are some of what?
I was going to say some of the natural things, some of the things we can do. We know there are medications. So we're not here to medicate you. That we don't treat. Just know that you can talk to your doctor about your condition, and if they think, he or she think you need medication, they'll do that. But what I want to emphasize is there are also some natural ways to get your blood pressure down, and Veola is very familiar with that because she got her pressure down the same way.
Yes, I did. Actually, one of the things that I did and I found to have been very beneficial in getting my blood pressure down was actually changing my my dietary intake. So I grill my food, my meats, I bake them, I do salmon. I know they recommend 2 times a week. I eat salmon like maybe 3 to 4 times a week. My daughter laughed. My daughter is an internal medicine doctor.
How do you do it? And after you talk about her, I will talk about your recipe.
I actually use, I have an air fryer.
Okay, I love an air fryer.
And then I just put a little bit of Mrs. Dash over it. And I do add just a tad bit of salt or some seasoning. This is seasoning. It's like a Cajun one. It only has like 6 milligrams of sodium in it. So I read the labels to make sure the sodium content, since she asked me how I cook it, because I stay below 1,500 milligrams of sodium a day. Okay. And it's recommended that if you're African American or if you have been diagnosed with high blood pressure, that is the recommendations. Less than that, everybody else really need to be staying less than 2,300 as far as just as a healthy kind of a thing. So I watch the sodium intake. But eat more fruits and vegetables. So I do a lot of broccoli. I do a lot of just fruits and vegetables. I eat vegetables like throughout the day. I know you were supposed to eat like 69 servings of fruits and vegetables a day.
Absolutely.
I get that in. I get that in.
And that's very good.
I drink my water, so I do.
The water is very good for you, and please not soda, because
I don't drink any
tell
soda
me
anymore.
All the time that they love soda, they love soda.
I did
and
too.
then they'll say, well, at least Dr. Walker, I don't drink regular soda, I drink diet soda. That's just as bad. You know why? 2 swaps that both start with S. Diet soda's got the salt, and regular sugar, high fructose corn syrup was the artificial sugar, is in regular soda. So you're darned if you do and you're darned if you don't.
Right.
So put your weapon down and grab yourself some water.
Yes, I must say the same. That was one thing that I wasn't drinking enough water. I started drinking water because when I had that episode with the blood pressure, my daughter was like, Mama, because I wasn't going to take any medication, and my blood pressure went up one day, and she said, Mama, how much water have you drank? And I had drank maybe 1 or 2, and she said, no, you need to drink at least 4 to 5 bottles of water. I'm telling you, by the end of the day, after I drank that water, my blood pressure was down in the normal range. And I didn't take any medications or anything. I was dehydrated, because when you're dehydrated, your body's trying to compensate, and your blood pressure is going to be higher. I'm like, duh, I didn't think about that. But yeah, so water. So I drink at least, like I said, 4 to 5 bottles of water a day. And of course, if you have heart failure, we're not recommending you do anything. I'm telling you my story. So I increased my water intake.
Because you'd have to check with your doctor about
exactly.
how much water you need. On anything, for real. I always say, because some people with kidney disease, heart disease, their doctor has the amount of water they want them to drink. But if your doctor told you you are healthy, that all your labs are normal, and that there's nothing wrong with you drinking water, make sure you get that water in you every day.
Yeah. And then, so the diet, the water, and then the physical activity. I increased my activity, and then also lost weight. So that is my story of
and
how.
And that's basically the way we do it.
And I trusted in the Lord, because I took Him at His word, His promises.
Right.
And I used them. And I, even like in 2 Corinthians 10:4, where it says, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty unto God, to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations, and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of Christ, and pulling down every thought.
Every thought.
To the obedience, every thought. And that was the thing that got me right there. So instead of thinking and all this stuff in my head, I had to actually picture myself being healthy, trusting God's word, eating right, knowing that it was going to work for me on my behalf. And that's why I do what I do as towards the health coaching, because I want people to know, if you have to take medications, I've taken medications before, until my health got in the place where I didn't have to take the medication. But you have to start somewhere. So some people decide they don't want to take any medication. Well, not taking the medication and not doing anything about it on the other end, the disease process is going to continue.
Right.
So it's going to get worse. Right. It didn't stop. So if you're not making some changes, so sometimes the blood pressure medication is just until you get to the point to get it in a safe range where it's not damaging your kidneys and your eyes and your heart.
And then we can decrease it. And not only decrease it, patients ask me all the time, do I have to be on this medicine, Dr. Walker, forever? I go, no, you don't. When you make lifestyle changes and do the things that Veola have talked about, I have tons of patients that I've been able to take off of their blood pressure medicine. They've lost weight, they going to the gym, they eating correctly, they drinking their water. And you know the biggest you got to do to keep that blood pressure down, keep stress out of your life. Stress will send that blood pressure. When you get upset and you were hooked up to a blood pressure monitor, you could just see your pressure rise, rise, rise. I remember one time I took my mother to get a test done, and she didn't want to get it done, and they told her she had to lay on the table, and she said, you know what? Baby, I didn't even sign up for all of this. I didn't even know I had to get on the table. I'm going, Mama, how are they going to do the test? So they hooked up to the little blood pressure monitor, and the more she fussed, the higher her pressure get. The mother real scary. She was with the Lord now, but was really scary about doctors and hospitals, so I scared her. I said, Mama. She said, I said, you see that monitor over there? She looked over at the monitor. I said, the more you fuss about being here, have you noticed your blood pressure getting higher and higher? She immediately zipped them lips and laid there and let the little doctor do what he had to do, and we was out of the door. And on the way out the door, she told me, okay, now we can go somewhere and eat. But I just said all that to say stress will send your pressure. You get upset about something, your pressure shoots up.
Yeah. Yeah,
which is not
so
good.
True.
That's why it goes back to what we said before, be anxious for nothing. And one of the natural ways you can get your pressure down, too, is celery. Most people don't know celery is very good for you. If you could just eat a few stalks of celery. I had a lady stop me in the grocery store one day, and she said, just try to incorporate celery in all your meals and see what your health do. So try to eat more celery. Those of you out there just trying to eat junk all day, put some celery in your diet.
And that did work. You recommended that for me.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to laugh one day. I said, Lord Jesus, my blood pressure was too low now. I said, I'm going to have to add a little salt. No, but yeah. So natural, because God, he created us. So definitely, he put everything, he says, everything for life and godliness.
Right.
We have it all.
He knows what we need.
It's right here. Right here. It's right here. And so we make things too difficult.
Yes.
But we got to take care of our health. And you know, like Dr. Walker is saying, this is amazing because this is what I do every day, all day long as a coach. I talk to people, get into their world, see what changes they're willing to make.
Right.
Because they have to be able to be
do
willing.
it and willing to do it.
What action, what are you willing to do to make
right.
this happen?
And that's what I do with my
And I always
patients.
tell people, losing weight is not a goal. People always want to set a goal to lose weight. No, that's a desire.
Right.
The goal is what you're going to do to make it happen.
Right. Absolutely.
Like I'm going to go walking. I'm going to stop eating
the best exercise,
food.
most people say, what's the best exercise after walking? Guess what I tell them? Consistency.
Whoop.
Yeah.
Yep,
you gotta do it. Just consistency. That is the best exercise in the world. And that's what we don't do. We start for a little while, and guess what the patient tell me? Well, I didn't lose 20 pounds the first month. I said, did you expect to lose 20 pounds the very first month? I said, it's an ongoing process. This is a lifelong. This exercise thing you're doing, this is for the rest of your life. This is not for a month because the family reunion, they love the reunions. When the high school reunion coming up and you trying to look nice for that little knucklehead that took you to the prom that you're not even going to recognize once you get to the reunion, that's not what exercise is for. No. It's for you to do these things every single day and be consistent. That's the number one
I like
exercise.
That's
it's
wonderful.
consistency.
I'm going to use that when Dr. Walker.
I don't mind. I don't mind. Use it. We've been together so long, we could just float right off each other. So use it.
That is wonderful.
So look into the natural ways to do it. Get into your exercise. Decrease stress. Stop smoking. If you smoke, please I call cigarettes weapons. Lay your weapon down. Number one preventable cause of death in this country. And then ask your doctor about natural ways that you can get your blood pressure down.
And then, people, limit your alcohol intake. Alcohol is full of sugar. I don't know why people don't understand that. They want to lose weight. They want to get their diabetes under control. They want to get, because sugar actually can affect your blood pressure too. So you can't. You got to limit it. So it's moderation. Stuff is moderation.
Right.
I mean, if
you know what the new recommendations are. Y'all ready for this? Oh, this is going to break up your face real bad.
Tell them, Doctor.
1 drink a day for women and no more than 2 for men.
Yep.
So 1 and 2, that's it.
It's excessive over that.
Yeah, over that.
And it's a risk factor for heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol.
Read the carbohydrates in wine. Everybody likes wine. Everybody likes the sweet wines. But read how many carbohydrates in it. Some of those wines are so sweet, you would have done better going out and getting a milkshake. That's how sweet some of the wines are. So 1 drink for women and 2 for men. So that's how I talk on high blood pressure. We're going to bring it up a lot in the future. Just ways to know what it is, how to treat it, how to keep that pressure down. And the last segment of this.
Oh, no, wait a minute. We got to tell them. That's segment 3.
Yeah.
So the first one was our introduction.
Right.
Kind of gave you an overview of what we do, how we do it, and everything. And then we talked about, this is section 2?
No, this is our section 4. This is our last one. We're
getting ready to go into the last
one.
So let's take a pause and let the people think about it for just a minute. Some of the things that we're saying, some of the things that they want to implement into their lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And just making sure when you set a goal that it's an actual goal, something that you are willing to do something about. Set that goal. It needs to be specific, a specific thing that you're going to do. It needs to be measurable. It needs to be achievable.
Absolutely.
Realistic, and you got to put a time limit on it. And we were talking about weight loss. It could be one of the things that we can do with help with our blood pressure. When you're thinking about weight loss, a safe weight loss is 1 to 2 pounds a week. If you're doing more than that, that is not safe, and is it sustainable?
And you're going to gain it back. When you do that real
There's
quick
signs
weight loss,
to it, yes.
have you noticed you always gain it back? So
yeah.
slow is better. Slow and show. That's what my grandmother said.
Slow and steady.
That's right.
To
that
race.
is better.
All right, so we're going to talk to you all later. We got one more segment
of this 4-part segment that we are doing.
Okay.
Coming up shortly.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.